This presentation will explore the classroom implications of gamification technology, specifically its use in education. So students learn to play and play to learn. The most common definition that I found around gamification was the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. And so those game design elements include points, levels, leaderboards, all which facilitate healthy competition among students to succeed. Also, challenges or bosses, as students call them, that require students to take on a particularly difficult task. There's also achievements, bonuses, and a really beneficial element is infinite play, where students are able to play the game or the platform until they become an expert on the topic. There's also a quote here that states the craft of deriving all the fun and addicting elements found in games and applying them to real world or productive activities. And fun can obviously change behavior for the better. And so those common themes of gamification being fun. And so the benefit that we get from a platform that's fun obviously is motivation and engagement of the student. So students are no longer disengaged and yawning and not wanting to partake in the lesson, but they're actively participating and asking questions and creating the games and really getting involved, and which leads to them learning more. Collaboration and team building is another potential benefit. Some game platforms are one-on-one, however, some also require students to work together. Design principles could be another benefit if the students are required to design their own game. Along with that goes strategy and planning. So if we have to design, or if we have to beat this game, what strategy do we need to use, and how can we plan ahead to foresee potential obstacles or challenges? And last is problem solving. So when they arrive at those challenges, how can they problem solve to overcome them? So the most easy way to explain what gamification is to take a look at how exactly it's used in the classroom. So the most commonly used is content systems. Simply just students play a game to learn specific content area information. An example that they use in the primary levels for reading is Lexia Core curriculum. So it's a one-on-one individualized program that students go in for a minimum of 30 minutes a day, I believe, and work on the particular reading skills that they need to through gaming. Technology gateways, so just familiarizing students with technology that they, as we progress in the 21st century, it really builds skills that will help them be successful. Trigger systems simply means a starting point for a discussion of the topic. With the latest Pokemon Go craze, a good example of this would be in an English language arts class, challenging students to choose a Pokemon that they believe is better than all Pokemon and debating or defending why they made that choice. Exemplar's point of view, so some games, if they have an avatar or something like that, they could allow students to experience different identities and develop empathy. Simulations allow students to test theories about systems and experiment. So there are some great tools out there that allow students to create objects and manipulate them and kind of test out the physics of those. Text to be critiqued. So students critique various game elements. An example of this would be there's a lot of games that are supposed to take place in the 16th, 17th, 1800s, and how accurate are those games? What did they get right and what did they get wrong about living in those time periods? Authoring platforms, so students use games to create something, which is very similar to research assignments where students research and design games themselves. Another one is classroom management, where students receive points through a game for positive behavior. So I'm just going to show a quick video of ClassDojo, which explains that ability to use points in a classroom management.
Hey, welcome to ClassDojo. ClassDojo is a tool that makes your classroom more fun, and it helps you become a better student too. Your teacher will set up ClassDojo and make a list of actions to try to do this year, like participating, helping others, and staying on task. When your teacher notices that you're doing these actions, you'll receive dojo points.
And so again, just quickly step in here. Those points are those game elements that we were talking about before, which facilitate healthy competition and increase the motivation of students to have positive behaviors.
And at the end of the day, you can find out how you've done. You can see what you're doing well and also learn where you need improvement. The best part is this: you get your very own avatar. We'll give you one to start with, but you can make your own avatar once your teacher gives you your secret code. Log in at home using your secret code and you'll be able to make your own avatar. See how you did in class, and see all your friends too. We hope you...
And so as simple as that seems, the concept of creating their own avatar, it's really something students grasp onto and love. And then, seeing other avatars that their fellow classmates create. And then as it mentioned here, including the parents in with what happened during school that day. And so that's an example of classroom management through gamification. Another one that I wanted to show is the game City Skylines. And so although it's not currently being used in classrooms as far as I know, this is the kind of gameplay that really facilitates critical thinking skills and strategy and planning ahead for students, because they are required to build a city from scratch, and it really becomes involved. So they have to really plan ahead and when building their city. And so they have to, he's installing a windmill for electricity. They have to decide if they want green electricity or if they want standard electricity. They have to create zones, so residential zones, industrial zones. Those are some residential zones that are being built. Business zones. You can't obviously build in industry by residential because residents don't want to live by that. They have to give water. It's really, really involved. And as the game progresses, the student faces challenges. And so those are just two examples of ways to implement them. ClassDojo is a very common classroom management tool using gamifications that teachers are using all over. City Skylines, I just thought would be a great system to use. And lastly, steps to using gamification in the classroom. So number one, just understand the target audience and the context. So what are the skill levels of your students in technology and what are you trying to teach them is step two. So what specifically do you want the gamification experience to teach your students? Structure it around 1 and 2. Number 4 is identify your resources. A lot of these gamification platforms can require extensive resources. However, some require very little resources and can be completed fairly easily. And then so once you've done all those 4 steps, number 5 is applying your gamification elements to your classroom. And I hope this presentation clarified some information about gamification and how it can be used effectively in your classroom to benefit students.